Well, hi there. I'm back from my Lake Superior Circle Tour trip, and I watched a few videos before I went, and then I kind of came up with a system that worked for me, and I thought I'd share it because I found it very helpful and very organized. So I'll start off with, first of all, the backpack I'm wearing. And the backpack kind of gave me day-to-day things. If you want to come in a little closer here. And a couple of things I did do with the pack is, in between here, I did keep a fly for the backpack, so if I did get caught in a lot of rain, I'd have that easily accessible and handy. And I was on the road for about 8 days, so a couple things that I kept handy was bug spray and a couple solar powered battery banks. And one of the things about these battery banks being the size that they are is in the tank bag, which I kept a few things here. There is a vinyl window on top. And if you look from here, the solar tank bag's on top, and you can keep it charged or let it charge up at least while you're driving. And then on that, I kept wallet here and cell phone here because it was handy and easy to access. All right. The next thing with the backpack I quite liked about it is that it had this hard shell part on here, and this was perfect so that when I had my GPS, I didn't want to leave it on the bike. And I had a little sleeve for it, and then it fit perfectly inside of this compartment here. And other things I kept handy, I kept these wet wipes for cleaning the visor on the motorbike, so I kind of kept things handy, easily accessible. And obviously, I kept a pair of sunglasses that were handy right off the bat in case I was there. And other than sort of traditional motorcycle gear, I did wear a neck gaiter, which again, I was riding in some colder weather at times. This really helped keep things warmer, but also I found it helped keep down the road noise a little bit. And even with the helmet, I have the what's this one called again?
It's called siphon sound.
Siphon sound. I have the siphon sound speakers in here, and this is a little knob that you can control the volume and go forward and back. And it ties into Bluetooth with your GPS, and you have full control over everything, and it just made things a little bit better that way. And then lastly, I did have a water bladder on hand with a 90-degree bike valve piece, and I was able to get that up underneath the helmet to stay hydrated while riding without having to stop. Okay. So the way I kind of organize things, this bag here was clothing. This is a dry bag for my kayaking stuff. I'll get that in a minute. And when I had this on here, I was kind of initially worried that it might affect my posture on the bike, but it was the perfect size and the perfect distance. I can actually lean back on it. So I can change my posture a little bit by being on the highway pegs, and I can lean back on that and change up the posture, because I had some long days for sure, and I had never had a sore part of my body in the entire trip with having that kind of configured. And I'll get to that in a minute here. The first compartment, if you look over here from behind, because the Suzuki exhaust, the right compartment's a little bit smaller than the left one in tailcase wise. And so with this first one, this was kind of the stuff I'd have in here to make my camp. This is a hammock, a sleeping bag, and a tarp. I'm gonna put those on the table for now. In addition, sleeping pad, camp pillow, MSR Hubba Hubba tent, it has some orange cleaning wipes so that if I had to do any work on the bike, I can clean my hands. This is a small camp shovel, which I kept in here. and then some tools which I can use to if I had to do any work on the bike. And this has got some weight to it, obviously the tools, so I put them on the bottom of the case here to keep the weight low, but also offset the weight from left to right of the bike because this has got some weight. Most of the stuff's not too heavy, and this way it kind of balances out a bit more. So that was the first case. The second case being a little bit bigger one. This is another little sort of tool pouch, but I kept in here some chain oil, WD-40, and a couple of those spare straps, which I had to tie this down. And I can use that in case I ever had to lash anything extra on top of that, or if that strap failed or broke, I had a spare one in here. And that was handy up top. Paper towel, which obviously is handy to have, and then you never know if you need it. Toilet paper, of course, because that was for the entire duration of the trip for the most part. I was just wild camping with staying with a few friends along the way in between. Now I tried to organize this so that things I needed maybe more frequently were a little bit easier. So you can have a look inside of here. One of the things I had right up the top is my Platypus 4-liter water bladder. So when I was wild camping, as I was getting close to where I was going to be making camp, I'd stop at a creek or river, pull out the first half of the dirty water, fill that up and just shove it in my pack and then take it to camp. So I had that pretty handy on top, really easy to get at. And the other thing I kind of kept close, this is a thermocell, because obviously you can come across a lot of bugs. These things work far better than I thought. You turn this thing on, it runs on a little butane cartridge, and it creates a bit of a zone of where the black flies and mosquitoes aren't going to bother you. So those are a couple of things I had, and because I was up north, I also had some bear spray and kind of standard camping things, also like a good knife. The other thing I kind of kept sort of handy was a kitchen kit. So stored it vertically, I can get it pretty easily without anything else. And if you take a look at this GSI kit here, kept all the basics here. I had some stuff to make fire, some knives, cleaning bits, a couple utensils, cutting board, striker fire starter, my soap, all this to kind of cook meals on the way. So I had a balance of dehydrated meals as well as cooking some from fresh meals. So I had that handy in the kit as well. Kept a headlamp. This is a USB-C rechargeable, so everything I had pretty much was USB-C rechargeable. Little camp towel, one canister of fuel, jet oil stove, and a GSI mug set. I'll show what that is in a minute. The thing I liked about this GSI mug set is that this mug opens up and it's insulated. And this would be something you can eat out of, or if you had to carry any sort of part of your meal with it. And then this was like a mug that you'd use for hot drinks, and I'd usually have my tea in here. And what I would do is kept tea bags in there so that this thing wouldn't rattle around. And some of the things I have would be a meal replacement type shake, and I can use this cup here to create my meal replacement shake with a shaker ball and that. To go with the stove kit, I had Sea to Summit plates. Just a cloth for drying. And this is jet oil fry pan. And it'll scratch it. And this is also the Sea to Summit 1.4 liter X pot. And this is actually, I bought it just for this trip. I haven't had one of these before, but it's a little bit bigger if you want to simmer or cook something in a pot. This was fantastic, and it all nested together very nicely, so it's very compact and very easy to take along with you. Other few things I wanted for camping, I did have a folding saw, so I can process some firewood to kind of get a fire going if I want that at night, as well as just some good old leather work gloves to keep things going. spare paracord, and another set of these other wipes just for general cleaning wipes. These work well to clean bugs off the visor, and then you'd use a lens cleaning wipe afterwards, or even the front of the bike if you're getting pretty buggy. This would take the bugs off that to kind of keep things a little bit cleaner. Again, to be as self-sufficient as possible, under the seat I kept a tire patch kit, and this is a battery-powered air compressor that I can use to reinflate the tire should I have a puncture in the tire. And again, it runs on battery on its own and USB-C rechargeable. So again, I wanted everything to be USB-C rechargeable for compatibility and just make things as simple as possible. I did need pick up an extra wrench along the way to service my rear axle. I had to make some chain adjustments along the way, and I needed a 24mm wrench, which I picked up along the way. The other couple things I had here, this is a folding table, which I'm going to set it up anyways to see what it is. I find if you are kind of wilderness camping, having something as simple as this really makes things a lot more pleasurable when you're trying to cook rather than being right on the ground all the time. Table, and as well as a folding chair. Now again, I had room for it, so I figured I might as well take it. And again, these little creature comforts along the way really help keep things a little bit more comfortable, especially when you're not camping in campgrounds and don't even have a picnic table to sit at or to cook at. And although that table looks pretty small, with a camp chair like this, you actually were at a pretty good height to prepare your meal. So it actually worked pretty well. You're just off the ground and had a flat surface to work on. And last but not least, I did have a folding grill. So if I had a fire going and I wanted to cook a piece of chicken or a steak or whatever, this is a folding grill which can go over a fire, and it's pretty compact. It takes up almost no space and very little weight. Right. Now in the last case, the sort of stuff I would need kind of throughout the day, what I try to keep handy. So this is actually a tablet, and I'd use this to kind of plan the details of my next day. I had a general route of where I was going to go day by day, but then I would use a tablet to plot kind of details and specific spots I wanted to stop at. So that fits so perfectly in behind there. It's well protected. You're not going to get crushed, or if I was leaning on it with a backpack, it wasn't in there. Kept my rain gear handy in here, just kind of rolled up, so if the rain came out I could put an extra rain layer on. Kept an extra bottle of water in addition to what I had in my water bladder in my backpack. This would be handy if I was cooking a dehydrated meal that I happen to have, need a little bit of water right off the bat. And then I kept a pouch. And this is where I kept some of my dehydrated meals. This kind of kept things organized, so I'd have a certain few meals. So if I didn't have a chance to pick up any fresh food along the way, I had a dehydrated meal ready to go. And this is just a standard lunch bag. Now I sort of keep a few staples in here. So again, because I was planning on trying to cook a few meals on the way, this was just meal replacement type shake. I did have some ham, a little bit of butter in a container that I kept on hand, and a few other staples again. So if I just picked up some vegetables and a bit of chicken, I had some rice to go. I had the 5 spice seasonings, and I keep one couple of these on hand just as a quick little snack for the day. So I wouldn't really do too much in a day for lunches. I'd kind of munch and graze and have snacks along the way. But I had this, which kind of kept things a bit organized in terms of food for the day. That can just go right here. So as you can see, from the 3 cases in the backpack and tail bag, I actually carried all this stuff with me, and was very comfortable on the trip. Now I want to show a couple of details about what's in the track bag here, but I'm going to pause the video here and make some space to show you how I set up my clothing.